Turn now to the race for president, and Donald Trump doubling down on his pledge to deport millions of undocumented immigrants. The GOP frontrunner says he'll create a deportation force. It's getting applause from crowds, drawing some bipartisan fire, too. ABC's Tom Yamas here with the story. Good morning, Tom.
George, good morning to you. It's the issue that helped Donald Trump skyrocket to the top of the polls, but other GOP candidates say Trump is playing with fire, and the hardline plan will hurt them next November in the general election.
Donald Trump upping the ante when it comes to illegal immigration.
You're going to have a deportation force, and you're going to do it humanely.
Proposing a deportation force to usher millions of undocumented immigrants out of America. But mass deportation is a plan some of Trump's fellow Republicans call unrealistic.
Think about the families. Think about the children. Even having this conversation sends a powerful signal. They're doing high fives in the Clinton campaign right now when they hear this.
The Clinton campaign doing more than high fives, taking to social media, tweeting, "The idea of tracking down and deporting 11 million people is absurd, inhumane, and un-American. No, Trump." I tried asking Senator Marco Rubio about Trump's idea, but he dodged our questions.
Senator, Trump called for a deportation force today. What do you say to that?
We're not going to take questions right now.
I hear you.
But some say Rubio is avoiding immigration, pointing to this week's debate where he stayed silent while many others weighed in. Trump regularly attacking him for being part of the Gang of Eight, a bipartisan group of senators that tried and failed to pass comprehensive immigration reform. And as candidates like Dr. Ben Carson, Senator Rubio, and Senator Ted Cruz rise in the polls, Trump is enjoying seeing others fade away.
We started off with 17, and one by one, they're disappearing. Disappearing. It's a beautiful thing to watch as they go out. Oh, I love it.
Trump being Trump. Back to that moment with Marco Rubio. Now, his campaign said the schedule was tight and he had done several interviews that day, including on immigration. Now, a former GOP presidential nominee making a big endorsement, Bob Dole, a name we haven't heard in a long time, endorsing Jeb Bush, calling him the most qualified.
On Veterans Day. Okay,
Yep.
Tom, thanks very much. Let's bring in John Carl for more on this campaign. And John, let's start with Ben Carson, because he's getting questions as well about his debate comments, especially on foreign policy. Said it would be fairly easy to take out ISIS's energy resources, and also talking about China and Syria.
That's right. In the debate, Ben Carson raised eyebrows when he said that China is active in Syria. It's something Carson has said before, but George, there is no indication of any Chinese military involvement whatsoever in Syria. We put the question to several senior U.S. national security officials who told us they don't know what Carson is talking about, that they know of no Chinese involvement in Syria. Here's what Carson said yesterday when he was asked to explain what he meant.
Well, China has been trying to extend its influence not only throughout the Middle East, but throughout Africa and in several locations. And their interest extends into that region as well. You know, I would have to refer you to some other people to get you the actual data, but they've shown it to me.
And John, Ben Carson has talked about these advisors a few times now. What do we know about them?
Well, Carson says his top foreign policy advisor is a retired two-star general named Robert Dees. Dees is an adjunct professor at Liberty University who has written that the U.S. military should be used to spread Christianity here in the United States and around the world. George, not your typical top advisor to a presidential candidate, but then again, Ben Carson is certainly not your typical presidential candidate.